Thank you all for tuning in. This is Iman.
And Selena.
And together we make you plus happy. This week we're doing something a little bit different, and we're going to reflect on the guests that we've had in January and our biggest takeaways.
Remember to like and subscribe to the You Plus Happy podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy. How are you, Iman?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. You're a little tired?
Am I tired?
Yes.
I am a bit tired.
Okay.
It's been a long night.
Ooh, sounds fun.
It was fun. Oh, that's another episode.
So who do we have first in January? I don't remember it. Was it?
So our first guest was for
Thomas.
January was Thomas.
Yes.
Did I say his last name right?
I don't know.
Okay.
But
probably
y'all can
probably
go
should know.
The name of his podcast is the Experts Podcast.
The Experts.
And, yes, so check out that episode. That was our first one of 2021. What was your biggest takeaway?
So I really liked his episode. I think one of the things I took away the most was just how there's a certain level of maturity for you to be able to do an entire podcast with an ex.
Yeah.
And how important just being able to maintain a friendship. I think sometimes when people break up, it's like, oh, I can't deal with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just interesting to see from a male's perspective how you can maintain a friendship and have a business or meet with someone, even though you guys aren't necessarily seeing eye to eye in other areas.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about it that way. I was just like, I can't do that. Anyway, I mean, I probably could, but I don't want to. I wouldn't want to. Would you?
I guess it depends on the ex.
Oh, I'm just thinking about my most recent ex.
Yeah. Well,
I could do it with my most recent ex.
Girl, that was a while.
Yeah, I think all my exes, like my real exes, I could. Yeah, I'm still cool with all of them. So yeah, I would. And I don't like any of them. So it wouldn't be like that feeling of like, oh, I missed him. I want that old thing back. So I think it would be fine. So if y'all listening, y'all want to do a podcast, I'm here.
They're like, no, I'm good.
Good. All right, cool. Just offer it. Well, for me, that episode was super fun. And my takeaway was like, we can loosen up a bit. I think that was an episode I loosened up. We're starting to feel more comfortable with our guests and on this show. And I like that we drink. And but honestly, like when he was like, sometimes he'll leave in stuff that she might not like, or when it came to editing, and he'd be like, you can put stuff in that's funny. So I was like trying that. I was like, I always want to respect your wishes, but I also like, well, maybe this will be funny. And I left some stuff in, and you were like, Selena, did this really need to be in here? And I was like, so
how about compromise?
Yeah, of course. And I would never leave anything in here in the show that you said that you wanted me to take out. But I just was like, let me be more flexible with editing. Let me make it a little bit more efficient for me. And and that we can have more fun on the show. It was like a turning point for me as far as like, having more fun on the show.
Yeah. So then our next guest after that, who's that? Crystal Davis.
Yes.
So what was your biggest takeaway from Crystal's episode?
I think I'm being selfish, but Crystal that was the first person that we went to outside of our network. So I was really proud that like she was because that could go any kind of way. We had never met. And she was such for me, a good guest is in like what's that word, inspired, because inspiring, because like she built up her following so fast on Instagram, and she put out 3 books in like 2 or 3 months, and I know she had been writing, but still to consolidate everything and be like, I'm putting this out there and not be all like nervous, self-conscious about it. That's something I still need to learn. And then she was such a good sport, because like we said on the episode, we had some hiccups, and she was like, it's cool, like, and it was something we messed up on our end because we're still learning. And there's always going to be hiccups and stuff. You have to just go with the flow. The show must go on. And but she was such a joy. Like, I would be her friend. Like, if she wants to be my friend, I'm here. And I'm just inviting all my exes to do a podcast. Let's get Crystal to be my friend. But yeah, I just really enjoyed her company and her conversation. Yeah. So yeah. What about you?
I agree. I feel like her energy was just so good. And I know she mentioned prior to, she was a little bit nervous about it, but I feel like once we got talking, it just felt really natural. And because she was a guest that we hadn't met before, it was like, okay, like, how is this going to go? Obviously, we as guests had to do what we could to make it feel comfortable, but as host. So yeah, I just felt like the conversation flowed. I loved the fact that she shared her poetry with us too. So that was one of my highlights of the episode, just hearing her read it and hearing how she wants it to sound. Because I think sometimes when we read poetry, we'll kind of make it sound however we would read it. So it's so nice to hear her reading her own work. And she had a lot of little gems throughout the episode. But one of my favorite quotes that stuck out to me is when she was saying, like, my success, I'm probably not saying it verbatim, but she was saying, like, my success isn't done yet because I'm not done yet. So just like with all the 3 books in 2 months and everything that she's accomplished, she's like, I still have so much more to do, which I found really inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Those are good points.
And then who's our next guest?
Alicia Jones, someone you know very well.
Of course, someone I know very well. So
the founder
Alicia,
of Mind Your Health.
Yes, Mind Your Health.
At Mind Your Health _ on Instagram. Oh, and Crystal is at Physics of Forever. Physics _ forever. And you can get her books and check out some of her poetry.
Yeah, and we'll put all the links in the show notes too. But yeah, I think for me, Alicia, I feel like was very informative. So it was like a great conversation. It was a fun conversation, but it was also giving resources to our listeners, which I appreciate being able to, because I know when I listen to podcasts, being able to walk away with like tangible things that I can do is really helpful. So I like that she talked about anxiety, and being diagnosed doesn't mean that you are your diagnosis, like separating those two, and just encouraging mental health and self-care, which I think is so important, that a lot of people don't fit into just their day-to-day life, and just taking time to focus on, like, how is this making me feel in this moment? So I really appreciated that.
And I feel like a lot of times we hear self-care, and not everybody, but some people might feel like, oh, it's painting your nails or pampering yourself, which it can be, but it's really just taking that time to do something for no other reason. Like, you're not doing it to hustle to work or make money, or just you're doing something that it feels relaxing, even if it was drawing or writing or dancing or whatever. It's self-care, because that's what it means to me. Just taking care of your just mental health. I feel like, especially in our culture, is like perpetuated, always work, always. If you're not working, then don't do it. And that self-care, I think, is so important, that you don't always have to be working. Like, there's more to life. But specifically something that Alicia said that really stuck with me. I was asking her a lot about boundaries, and saying that I would be hesitant to implement boundaries with someone I already knew, especially like family and stuff. And she was like, well, at the end of the day, you have to live with basically, this is of course not verbatim, but paraphrasing, you have to live with your decisions and what you allow, what you don't. And that person's not going to be there to like kind of nurse those wounds if they're causing that. You have to deal with that alone. So you really do have to take care. I think that could be a form of self-care too, is like just setting boundaries and making sure you watch what you allow in your space and what it's doing to you and for you. Not to be like too preachy, but that's really what I took away from it. And that's really stuck. It was so recent, so I haven't implemented any, but it's really sinking in, like, and I really reflected on that part of it. And I listened to that episode, well, obviously like editing, but I listened to it in the car. I was like, this is I was like listening to it like it wasn't us, and I was like, this is a good episode, because she was so open and like I felt like so informative and fun and like go with the flow again. Like we've been so lucky with our guests.
We've had some really great guests.
We're telling some silly jokes and they're laughing and going along with it. And I thought about her today actually, because I went to Barnes and Nobles, of course. Not a problem, kind of real problem. But
that's a good problem to have, though.
Girl, this is expensive. This is an expensive habit. I need COVID to go and open these libraries. But but I was in the romance section because she inspired me. I was like, I'm always trying to read these intellectual books and self-growth, back to self-care. Why don't I just read something fun? So I got me a book out the romance section. I don't know what it's about. I'm gonna be reading. I forgot out. What you say?
I say you're gonna find out as soon as you start.
Yes. But I'm excited. I'm just like, it's a different for me. I haven't read a romance novel in like years, so yeah.
No, and I think it's also that balance of like that self-help, the deeper books, but then also being like, you know what, this is just fun reading, or this is just entertaining. It's so important.
Yeah. I also got a book because of the balance. I think it was by Dick Gregory. I want to say, I got for balance, Dick Gregory too. I was reading a little bit in the store. It seems like an easy read. It's written just how he talks, like
how does he talk, Selena?
Listen here, youngster. The main word, I know that I can't, but it's written, and then this is the romance novel. So Intercepted.
Oh.
Then I got this. Oh, this is one of my favorite authors. I know we were supposed to be going into all this, but Augustine Burroughs. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he's really famous, and he wrote Running with Scissors, which was turned into a movie. It's a memoirs. Okay. He has a talent for writing these really heavy subject matters and making them funny somehow, stuff like that. But the book was like comedy. So he has a real talent for that. I've read a couple of his books with really heavy subject matter. So I'm excited. So this is my addiction.
That's your self-care is reading.
Too much. I really need these libraries.
I feel like after that episode, I was inspired to start back at the book that I started. So I've been finding like at least a couple hours a week to do some writing. So I'm excited to pick that back up and, actually focus on it this year consistently.
I'm excited to hear that, Iman. I can't wait to hold your book on the episode.
Girl, I can't wait for you to hold it either. It's been in the works for a while, so.
I'm really excited you're back on it. Yes! I'm all hyped.
My hype man.
Because I know it's something that you're working on, and I think it meant a lot to you.
Yeah, I actually enjoy writing. It's just making time to do it consistently is the issue.
Yeah. You got to commit to that book like you committed to this podcast.
Yeah. And schedule time like in my schedule where I'm just like, all
Mhm.
right, this is just when I'm gonna write. I think that helps for sure.
Yeah. I'm like, if it's again, it's like when it comes to writing, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it today, so I don't do it. I
Hmm.
had joined this thing on Writer's Digest, and it was like write a poem a day for 30 days, and I did it, and I was really consistent with it. So it's all for me. It's all about finding something that a little nudge that
Hmm.
somebody else is doing it. I am not a solo dolo girl. Like, can't do nothing
Yeah,
by myself.
structure works too.
Really.
I mean, it's good to have support of others.
I like can't function without it. It's real bad. Yeah, I can't do anything without it.
Well, that's not true, but
I'm learning like other than like buying food and taking care of myself, anything outside of that, if I don't have somebody pushing me, I'm not doing it.
well, it's good that we have each other to push.
Um, so oh yeah, and the last thing I want to say about your writing, the poems that I've heard you do are really good. So I know your book will be good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. It's just I feel like the older I've gotten, the less creative I've gotten. Like when I was younger, it would just flow a lot easier. So I'm trying to tap back into that creative side, and it's slowly coming back. But I do feel like it takes a lot longer to come up with ideas now, because as you get older, it's kind of like, oh, you don't need that as much unless you're in a creative field.
Yeah.
Um, you have to kind of harness that and really work on it. At least I do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a muscle. You have to keep building it up, and you haven't been using it.
Hmm.
So I think you'll get
Yeah.
back there if you commit, and you're consistent. I read something a while ago, and it was
Hmm.
like, just say you'll do it for 1 minute, and that's the book you started, and then usually you stay with it. Listen, sometimes that works, sometimes it don't, but at least you try. So that's just something to throw out there. Like, I'm just gonna write for 1 minute today or 5 minutes today, and then
Hmm.
just to get you going. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
There's this book I got. I think it's called The Left Side of the Brain, and it has like little short creative activities. So I've been trying to do those every day, and they're fun. And it's like stupid things that you would never actually need to do in real life, but it makes you kind of think of like how you would navigate different creative. Maybe I'll share one of the activities in our next episode. Maybe they
Yeah.
make me happy and they're fun. So
I want
I
one.
don't have it with me right now,
Okay.
but next episode, something to look forward to.
Yes. Tune in for left side of your brain activity. Um, so another thing we did I cut you off?
Mm-mm.
So another thing we wanted to go over this week, just like a quick, I don't know if you still want to be mine, but like a lesson we've learned recently, or just something that a takeaway from the week.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna let you start.
Okay. I feel like I'll be having so many, and then when it comes time to talk about it, they just disappear from my brain. I did have one this week. I don't really want to say too much about it because it's like personal, but what I will say, it was something I was kind of struggling with. And I haven't been journaling that often like I used to. And I journaled for like, I don't know how many minutes, but it was like 3 pages. And I had like a revelation like in that. Oh, this is a part I can share. I ended up writing and remembering everything comes with a cost. So you have to just
Mm-hmm.
decide. I know this sounds simplistic, but when you're really in a situation and you feel like it's like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm not getting the results I want, but it's like if I do this thing, um, and it costs me, like it's just as the cost worth what I have to pay for what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And then like your energy, your time,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, um, all of that. So does that make any sense?
No, yeah, it does. I think
Okay.
it's like everything you do, there's something attached to it, good or bad,
Yeah, no,
or
it's
even
always
neutral.
it's gonna it's gonna cost you something. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And this situation, I was like, well, do I need to just get rid of the situation? And then I was like, well, what am I getting out of it? and what am I paying for that? And I was like, nope, the cost isn't too high. I like this situation for what it is. But I was about to I was about to like throw the whole situation away just because I didn't like certain parts about it. And it's like I just had to evaluate, like, is it worth what I'm paying for it, essentially?
Yeah.
And it is. So
yeah,
maybe if it wasn't, I was like, well, this too damn high. So I'm gonna cancel it.
Yeah. And I think it kind of goes back to the conversation we had with Alicia about boundaries. So like if it's a situation, if there's certain parts about the situation that we don't like taking that time to address those parts rather than throwing the whole situation. And I think that's hard if you're not used to it. I know that's a struggle for me, but it is, I feel like that's a really good perspective. It's like, okay, well, let me address these 2 or 3 issues rather than throwing the whole thing away.
Yeah.
That's a good reflection on your part.
I know, I was like, girl, because I did it all by myself. But I also was like, I didn't need to talk to anybody. I just have to write it out. And then I also was like, there was another thing. Oh, and I was giving the situation too much control. That's another takeaway. Like, why am I giving all my power and all my power over to this situation? And I'm losing my power in it. And the part of it that I can control. So it was just remembering all that stuff. And it does take time to sit around and think about this and write in your journal, but it was worth it. So yeah, that's what I walked away with this week. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. I liked it. So I feel like for mine, it's been, I won't say it's just this week, but I think this week it became more intentional. So, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but for the last probably like month, I've been seeing like 444 just repeatedly, like either on the clock, on my phone, on buildings, and I'm just like, oh, at first I was just like, okay, it's coincidence, but I definitely believe in energy and signs. So I feel like this week so 444 is basically saying like someone, well, there's a couple meanings, but one of the 2 main meanings is that like someone from the afterlife, someone that's passed on, is trying to communicate with you in some way. And usually they describe it as like angels. So it's not a negative thing. It's like someone is trying to guide you or communicate you that is no longer here. And then the other definition was that you're on the right path. So keep going in the direction that you're heading. So this week I've been very much more intentional, where I was just like, I don't know exactly what's trying to be communicated, but I'm just gonna find time throughout the day to just be silent and to meditate and be in this moment. So I've been, not much time, but I've been dedicating like 10 minutes a day, just in the morning or after work, to just sit and meditate and I guess accept whatever is trying to come to me. Nothing's come yet, but I'm just like, it's been a little bit, I don't know, surreal, because I've been seeing it so much, like multiple times a day. I'm like, okay, man, like you need to acknowledge this and not just like, oh yeah, there it is again. So I think just being intentional and open to whatever. And then also when I'm having hard days, knowing that I'm on the right path has really helped me, where I'm just like, all right, like today was stressful, but I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now. That was kind of my like epiphany. I don't know if it's epiphany, but like my intentional moment this week.
Yeah, I think spending that quiet time, like you said, like 10 minutes a day anyway, is always helpful. I think things come through when I haven't been on it, but when I was. But for me, mine come through words. So I'll keep seeing the same word over and over. Like recently it's been autonomy. Like every book I picked up, even if I went to go skim it in the bookstore, on that page there would be autonomy. I would hear it everywhere. Every little thing I watched on YouTube, someone would say autonomy. I was like, damn, I can't get away from this word. And basically, like, to me, it just means standing on your own 2 feet. And I was like, that's like that's Selena's translations. um, but that's what I took away from it. I was like, I think it was just a reminder to like, hope you got your own back the most. You have to stand on your own. And it's great that you have friends and family and all that, but don't be so reliant on it to do things. Like even when I was just saying earlier, like I need people to hold me accountable to do things. And I think that, I just got another one.
I have another epiphany.
Like,
right now.
Because I literally was just saying that earlier in the episode. Like I have to have somebody push me up there. And I keep saying autonomy. The sign is like, no, you need to stop doing that, sweetness. Like, you push yourself. I gotta autonomize my life.
And I think that's like the biggest thing is like, how do you, because I feel like there's always signs and there's always guidance, but it's the fact that like, are you taking the time to recognize them, to acknowledge them, to follow them,
and listening.
Yes. So I'm trying to be better at listening.
Yeah.
I recognize them, but I'm just like, okay. So just being intentional. And we'll see.
Yeah, this is the last thing about it. I read a Deepak Chopra book a while ago. He was like, if you don't spend that quiet time, you miss the signs because your mind is always constantly going. And he was like, you could drop a truck. He used a better metaphor, I can't remember, but like you could drop a truck in there and it wouldn't even notice it because it's all so cluttered. So spending that quiet time, it allows your mind to calm. And you can feel and see things better with more clarity because you have that, you cleared out that space. So I think it's so helpful. And wow.
No, I agree. And just find the time to reflect too. I'm like, sometimes the day is so busy and you're just like, all right, do this task after this task after this task. And having that time to sit back and be like, okay, people always ask like, oh, how was your day? And sometimes I'm just on auto. I'm just like, oh, it's good, or it was busy. But like to actually reflect and be like, well, what did I actually do today? What did I do so that's one thing I've started doing since this year started is I have like a whiteboard in my kitchen and it just says, what did you do for yourself today? So like as the day is going through, I'll put like just small things, like if it's like working out or I drank, I don't know, like 2 liters of water, just really small things. But at the end of the day, if there's nothing there, I'm like, okay, Iman, you need to do better tomorrow because you can't just give of yourself the entire day and not get anything back or give to yourself. So I've been trying to be intentional with that. Self-care throughout the day.
Especially in that field. And it's so nice that you're saying it doesn't have to be these grand things. It can just be something really, really simple. It doesn't have to be expensive or very time consuming. Drinking more water, like, come on, that's great.
Easy fix.
Yes.
Writing in my journal for 5 minutes. It doesn't take that long.
Yeah,
it literally takes 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes. How long does it take?
I think that.
Okay.
I think those are really good reminders and points. I wanted to, you reminded me to say something, I can't remember now, so I guess it wasn't that important.
It will come back later.
Yes. I feel like I got a lot out of this conversation, even though it was
Yeah, me too. And I hope the listeners did too.
Yeah, comment below, y'all. We would love to hear like recent epiphanies and what you do for self-care. You can always use more tips and it's things that we don't think about, or just reminders. So, and next week we will be back to our regularly scheduled program. We'll have a guest, even though I think we did a great job this week.
Me too.
So we'll be I'm
really excited.
Me too. I am very excited.
Our guest next week, so we won't share too much information, but I think it's going to be really encouraging and impactful for our listeners. So.
Yeah, and I can't wait to interview again. I miss it, and I love talking to you, but I feel like I know so much about you now. I need to learn something.
You're like, girl, I already know that.
I know everything about her, y'all. So,
but I will say sometimes things do come out, even though we've known each other for a while, where like we don't ask sometimes some of the more intentional questions, or I'm just like, oh, I didn't know that. So I think that I have still learned some new stuff about you since we started the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, it did come back. This is the last thing. Breathe. Okay. Remember to breathe, y'all. So breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's something I learned in my certification. And I forgot. Like, I've been so busy, I haven't even been consciously breathing. It is so helpful. And that's super free. You can do it anywhere. So
yeah, like deep breaths or just like regular
deep breath, but breathing, consciously breathing in through your nose. If you can do counts, that's better. But just those deep. Yeah, it is deep, but it's quick. It makes such a huge difference, y'all. And there's a lot of science behind it. You can look it up. Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not going to sit here and talk about it. But there's a lot of science about what it does to your brain. So honestly, and then it costs you nothing. So just remember that. I find it so helpful.
Yeah. Good reminder.
Yes. Do we have anything else for this week?
No, I think we're good. I think we covered everything we set out to. We've been very intentional.
Yes, we have.
Of course, always thank you, listeners. We couldn't do this without you. Remember to hit like, comment, share this episode, and please leave a review. We always appreciate your feedback. Remember to subscribe at U Plus Happy Podcast, which is available on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram at U Plus Happy.
And we'll see you next week, same time, same place with a guest. And we've tried to say the tagline together. It's not successful. So, Iman, do you want to say it this week?
I will say it this week. We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.